Well, hey guys, I am here with Dolf Fischer. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but basically, the purpose of these are going to be just to try to inform, try to get some basic information, some basic skill sets, so that way, as you're going through the process of buying a home, you kind of know what to expect, what things are, what they aren't. And one of the things we're going to do is we post this around. Both Dolph and myself will be available. If this sparks any additional questions or you want a little bit of clarification, we'll give the contact information so that way you can reach out and to either me or him directly and get those questions answered. But Dolph, if you want to, just go ahead and introduce yourself, who you work for, contact information, and then we'll kind of get into covering what you do whenever you go into a home.
All right, thanks, Ron. My name's Dolf Fischer. I'm with Ace Home Inspections. I've been doing it for a few years now. I've actually got my son. He's got through class now, and with all the COVID thing going on, he's not been able to test. So, but he's going to start being my assistant when all this busts wide open after all this is over with. But you can get a hold of me at 606-255-0355. That's my cell number. You can call me or text me, either one.
Okay. Well, great. So can you tell us exactly or a good idea of what a home inspection is?
What we'll do is we'll go in and we check the home from basement or crawl space, whichever you have, through the attic, up, including the roof. We give a visual inspection of it to see if there's anything there that is not structurally sound or is unsafe. Say for instance, GFI receptacles are not working like they should. Foundation cracks, things like that.
So how much time do you typically spend doing a home inspection?
Well, Ryan, it really depends on the size of the house, but usually between 2.5 to 3 hours is what it takes to do the inspection. And then I will go home and work on the report, and that generally, I'm sort of anal about it. So it takes about an hour to keep going through my report and get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. But, I've got about 3.5 to 4.5 hours invested in an inspection.
Okay, so with the home inspection, you're essentially checking the electrical, the plumbing, you're getting into the attic, you're looking at the structural integrity to see if maybe another expert needs to come in regards to that.
Yeah, that's what we do. I give it a visual inspection is the term that's used, in the home inspection world. Look at the foundation. Is there a crack in that foundation? Is that crack in the foundation, is it really a structural, significance? Most of the time it's not. But, whenever I do find one, whenever there's some odd looking cracks and some things that just don't look quite right to me, then we'll call in a structural engineer, look at chimneys. If things don't look quite right there, then we'll get a chimney expert in to take a look at it.
Okay. So now what are some things that you're not going to find out from a home inspection and that people shouldn't anticipate to get answered?
Yeah. Well, one thing, the termites for one thing. I'll look at your house. I'll look at in the crawl space and look around and check the joists and see if there's anything there that warrants further investigation. But I can't say you have termites or you don't have termites. That takes an exterminator generally to do that. A lot of houses I go into, people are in the process of moving. They've got the garages just full of stuff. I can only see what I can see. And that's sort of, that's one of the things that it's hard to get around. I can't be moving everybody's stuff around every time I get into a home to do an inspection.
So why do you think that home inspections are important whenever someone's going to purchase a home? Why do you think that having that additional information is, it really lends to them being more successful?
Well, my job as a home inspector is to make sure that my clients don't, come across something unexpected down the road. There's always going to be things. I can check your AC unit today and it worked fine, and you go in there tomorrow and it doesn't work. There's little things like that, excuse me, that can happen. But there's been clients that I've saved tens of thousands of dollars. Did a house, a great, beautiful home, got underneath it, and the main beam and the floor joists were just rotted out. Well, it looked fine from upstairs, and if there'd not been a home inspection, everybody thought it was going to be fine, but it ended up costing about $15,000 to fix it. So 350 to 450 is a small price to pay to save yourself that kind of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I always explain to my clients why it's so important is because it's an additional layer of information, and any additional information when you're purchasing a home is good information to have. So even if you don't find something that may or may not be that deal breaker, it maybe gives you a good checklist of information that you can use for once you do get in the home. So you're like, okay, these are things that I need to address, or these things can be put on the back burner. Do you ever find anything that is, maybe a common misconception about home inspections that has popped up often?
Well, every now and then people, they want to know about building codes. Well, that's not part of our deal. That actually in home inspection word, code's a 4-letter word. They don't want you to use it at all because that's not what we're here for. There are people that do that. We're just looking to see if there's anything that, well, I personally look at it. I go into home, and if there's something there that scares me, that it would spook me away from buying a home, then that's whenever we really have to have a discussion about it.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't look for code stuff. I don't look for things like that. I just look for the major things around a home that can cause you issues down the road.
Okay. So do you feel like there's anything that's unique about your company or maybe your reports or something that you do that may be a little bit different than a home inspection? I know, one of the things that we probably didn't clarify earlier, but, for a home inspection to be part of a real estate contract or what we call a contingency, that person has to be licensed with the state of Kentucky to be a licensed home inspector. So short of that, which, like I said, to be part of the real estate contract, that has to happen anyway. Is there anything unique about your company that you feel like is important that maybe somebody watching this would like to know?
Well, I like to meet with my clients. If I get a chance to meet with you right now, we can't because of the COVID situation. But normally what I do is I'll go through the inspection. I'll have my clients meet me afterwards. And if there's anything, big or, even small, little things that I can go walk around the house and show them what's going on. And that works. The report is nice, but sometimes reports can be spookier than what they actually are.
Yeah.
Things just show up and you're like, what is that? And
if you don't see these things every day like we do, and you get a report and there's 14 pages of information and, and it's good information to have, but you're going, oh my gosh, the house is falling in.
Usually my oral report, when we can get together and actually go over it, that alleviates most of the issues, but then normally, what I'll do the next day is I'll go ahead and send a written report, and I send a copy of the report to the real estate agent as well, so they can have that, to go into negotiations. If there's, something that needs to be fixed, and we can talk to the other agent and see if we can work it out, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So to kind of move a little bit further into those reports, and like I was saying, those reports, if you've not seen those, I know the first time that I seen one, whenever I first got my license, I was like, oh my gosh, why would anybody buy this? So they can be intimidating. So, what advice would you give someone in addition to, trying to figure out that time to meet with you to get that oral report, but what other advice would you give someone when they're reviewing these inspection reports?
Don't freak out. Most everything's fixable.
Yeah.
That's the big thing that I get. Most everything is a fixable deal. We can work it out somehow. People just have a tendency of seeing. My reports have, the way they're set up is you'll have a category. Then there'll be green, yellow, or red. Green meaning everything's fine. Yellow meaning it's sort of okay. Red means we got to do something about it. And when it's red on the report, then we need to get together and we need to discuss it and find out what we can do about it. But I think that's one of the unique things about my report is it's very simple to read. You can sometimes get reports that are just convoluted and hard to read. Just packed with useless information, really. And I keep mine basic, right to the point. If it's a structural issue, is it a safety issue? We're going to catch it and we're going to take care of it.
Now, you mentioned one other thing, too, that I thought was important was that you also check the systems, if I'm not mistaken. Do you check the heating and air, the roof, some of those major things? Do you actually check, are you able to get serial numbers, check out the age of the unit, what type of volume of air it's putting out? What do you do in regards to those kind of things?
what generally do with heating and air is and most of the time I could get the serial numbers and the product number off the label. What I'll do is I'll get the serial number, get an age on it at first. That's the first thing we want to do, see how old these units are. I had one the other day, an AC unit that was 46 years old and still running like a champ. But you're not going to see that very often. So we get the age on those, we get the age on the AC, we get the age on the water heater. Anything that I can age, I try to age. Generally, at the roof, you sort of have to go by the disclosure, by what the sellers are telling you. I can get an idea within a 5 year, say 5 year range on a roof. But when a roof is 24 years old, I can't tell if it's 15 or if it's 30. It's just really hard to tell unless it's just totally falling apart. But yeah, we get all those systems. I open up the AC, the heating unit. I'll go in and look at if it's gas, look at the flames, see if it's a good blue flame like it should be. A lot of times you'll see yellow flames in a furnace, and that means it needs some work. So I always take a picture of that as well. Yeah. I take a picture of anything that I find that's concerning to me. I take a picture of it so we can have that, to go on down the road.
Okay. Well, I think another thing that is important for people that are viewing this to know as well is that you have absolutely zero financial tie to this to the purchase contract. You're truly an independent third party that, not that you don't want to see anybody get the house, but that's not really your purpose for doing the report. It is strictly just to comment on the health of the house to the best of your knowledge and with your training, and then provide a report so that way that the buyer can actually make their own determination. And have I worded that pretty correctly?
Yeah, very perfectly. Yeah, I don't have a financial stake in this. Other than my compensation from the buyer. And it's not that I don't care whether they buy it or not. I want them to have the house they want. People, once they find a house, they want it. But my job is to be objective about it and not let their love for this
try to take the emotion out of it. Yeah,
because they can. You can get blinded. People can get blinded when they look at a home and they already got their mind set on it. And I'm the objective, person has to come and say, well, there's this going on, or nope, it's great. So that's a neat part of it. I love to see people, report, because everybody dreads the report. They're like, oh my God, what's going to show up? What's going to show up? And when I'm able to tell a client that, oh man, I'd move right into this house tomorrow, then that really does. It really helps people takes a load off their shoulders.
Yeah.
But like you said, I have no financial gain from either side. From bank, from anybody. I'm just purely objective. I'm an objective observer of this home to see if it's structurally sound.
Well, speaking a little bit more to the objective, one of the other things that I know a lot of home inspectors will do is they will do almost like I guess different people call it different things, but basically like a pre-inspection. So talking in terms to whenever someone is going to list their house, a lot of times kind of getting insight into what they could expect whenever somebody comes in after the fact and gets a contract on home inspection. Number one, do you do those kind of things? Is it, what type of rate or fee is typically involved with that? And it's not as detailed of a report as what a home inspection would do. So what kind of things with a pre-listing or a listing inspection would you do versus a home inspection?
Well, they're becoming more and more common. I didn't see them at first when I started working, and now they're starting to become more common because people, like you said, they want to know what they're getting into when they list their home. What do I need to work on? Is there something I need to fix? I can go in and, there's I can say there's a little water leak underneath in the crawl space, get down there and fix that right quick, before you list it. Because like I said, inspectors going to come in and catch it. Much easier to deal with it then than when you're in that 10-day window from the time you sign your contract to when you have to make a decision. A lot easier to have that taken care of beforehand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do those. And what I generally do is I'll generally do those, depending on the size of the home, for roughly half the rate.
Okay.
In that vicinity, just because, I'm not going to get in and I'll date a AC or heating unit. I'll figure out how old it is, but I won't go into all the details on it, but it's nice for them to have. I love it. I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. And I think it also helps the the seller in the respect that whenever someone does put an offer on their home and they get their own independent home inspection, that they're not a lot of surprises, or if there is a surprise, they can kind of compare the two and go, okay, well, this is the way this one looked at it. And it allows for them to be a little bit more, we keep using the word objective, but I think that's the biggest perk of having a home inspector is that they have no skin in the game except for to just truly provide information that's educated, trained, certified, and you're providing the information for a seller or a buyer to be able to make their own determination of what they take from that report. So is there anything else you want to add, or anything that we've maybe not covered or taken into consideration yet?
I think we covered everything pretty good, Ryan. It's something that I had not really thought about. I bought a couple of houses before I knew, really before home inspections were really around that prevalent. And I'm thinking, my goodness, what kind of pickle could I've gotten into? And I just think a home inspection is an integral part of this whole process to make sure you don't have a $10,000 surprise down the road. Yeah.
And just real quickly before we wrap up here, what is the cost of a typical home inspection? I'm not sure if we covered that at the beginning or not, but just to kind of wrap that up.
We haven't talked about it yet. Excuse me. The cost of
the beautiful thing of quarantine, right?
Yeah. It's up to 2,500 square foot. General charge $350. Each 500 square foot above that, I charge $50 more, just because of the more time involved and the report time involved. But generally, seems most houses are in the $350 to $400 range.
Okay, well, great. And what areas do you cover?
I'll go anywhere. I mean, in the Ashland area, Ashland, Grayson. My son's living in Moorhead now, so we're going to expand to the Moorhead side a little bit more. But I've been in Louisa a lot lately. Ashland just about daily. As far away as Moorhead, I've done.
Okay. Well, great. Again, guys, this is Dolf Fischer. Dolf, we want to thank you very much for taking some time here to try to help educate and maybe hopefully alleviate some fears from people whenever they're purchasing a home. That's truly the expectation of this series, is just to provide information and not necessarily beat people over the head with sales and that kind of stuff, but just really try to help educate, because it's a daunting, it can be a scaring process, whether it's your first home or your third. You typically don't buy a house every 3 to 4 months. So, you can forget a lot of things that maybe you did pick up the last time you purchased. So thank you very much. We really do appreciate it.
They never learn the process.
Yeah.
We see the process every day. People are buying a home, maybe do it 2, maybe 3 times in their life. And they just have to learn the process every time. So it is nice to have things laid out. That's what I like about the way you do things. You have things laid out for your clients. They don't, the concerns are alleviated a lot.
Yeah. Well, great. Do you want to go ahead and give us your contact information again and how people can get you, if you have a Facebook page or anything like that?
The best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone. The number is 606-255-0355. And like I said, you can text, call, however you want to get a hold of me. Really, any time of the day.
All right. Well, sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan.